Thank you for helping me out. Okay, so on the agenda, we have body camera first, and is this the leadership retreat notes? Okay, so just for the record, because my mic was not on, Councilmember Steinmetz is on his way. We'll be here shortly. So let's go to the first item on the agenda, body camera update. Thank you.
Assistant Chief Richards from the Police Department. The body-worn cameras are being worn by all officers. They went into effect yesterday morning at 6 o'clock. We're still retrofitting some of our vehicles, but the body-worn cameras that are actually worn by the officers themselves still recovered, still can download and do everything else, and we've actually already using some of the footage that's been gained from them. Wow. So they're fully implemented. There's one officer who's on military leave that hasn't been trained, and everybody else on patrol is trained and ready to go. So.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions on it, but thank you and congratulations on the implementation. I know that was a big thing for internally and with the guild and all of that. So thank you very much for working through that and making that a part of your equipment cache. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to a lot of positive reports on down the line as a result of that. So thank you so much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a report from the 2023 Leadership Retreat.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to give a brief update. We had a supervisors retreat last month in February on the 9th down at the beach park for all of the leadership in the police department. And it was a great event. We kicked it off in the morning where the city manager came and gave a presentation on leadership and working together in the police department first thing in the morning, and working together in the city as the police department being part of the city team as a whole. So it was a great presentation and well received from Michael. We then gave an overview. I gave a bit of an overview of the department and where I see us going in the future. Assistant Chief Richards gave a presentation on the patrol division, her area of responsibility, and then Assistant Chief Cooey gave a presentation and accomplishments of his division, which was nice. We then broke out into groups and went through our department goals and objectives, and I want to cover that as soon as I finish what we covered in the agenda. And it was a great opportunity to get together and look at where we're going as a department, set some goals, set some objectives, and move forward. After that, we had two doctors come and give a presentation. Dr. Slack and Dr. Johnson. They're both from Public Safety Testing, the company that does our psychological testing for new hire officers. And come on in, Councilmember Steinmetz, and I'll...
Sorry about that.
Oh.
No problem. I'm just going through our supervisors retreat agenda that we had last month. So these doctors work with first responders, police and fire, and basically we titled it Wellness, and to talk about first responder wellness, in this case officer wellness, and they gave us some tools to work with. I look at Patty because about this time we got the call of the officer-involved shooting on Pack Highway. So a couple of us had to run out and deal with that situation, but we got back in time. But these doctors then stayed the entire day and interacted with our staff at breaks and at lunchtime and other times. It was really great. It was a great presentation by them. We then had lunch, but we had a working lunch. So David Rose from Q13 News came and gave a presentation on at high-risk incidents when the media shows up and your police officers, they don't want our whole story, our whole investigation, the whole case. They just want that 10-second blurb of what they can feed the beast to keep them happy and then move on, and they'll be out of our way. So it was great, great presentation by David, who's been a good friend of law enforcement with Washington's Most Wanted, and he's very helpful with police departments. So it was a great for him to do the lunch in a nice low-key way. And then we had Steve Strand, the executive director from WASPIC, to give a presentation on basically a legislative update on the laws that are currently happening, and really a bigger picture, the future of law enforcement as a whole. So as a group, we're looking at big picture, where are we going? Where is law enforcement heading in this day and age with many of the changes? So it was a great presentation by Steve. And then we had David Dahl, also from WASPIC, give a specific presentation on training and he's the training and education coordinator, but he gave us an hour presentation on leadership. So he provides leadership training throughout the state for WASPIC to law enforcement agencies. So we got him for a little over an hour to talk specifically with our team. And then after all of that, the doctors left, and the WASPIC Steve and David left, and then we just kind of wrapped it up with where are we at now, where are we going with the final, and that's where just our goals and objectives, and I shared a copy with you guys. The goals, many of the goals have remained the same because they're, like as you see, goal number 1, build community trust and legitimacy. Well, gosh, that doesn't really, something like that shouldn't change year to year. What changes is what's below it, and those objectives and how we're going to attain that goal. So you'll see with hiring quality officers, increased business outreach, or just a couple of the 5 or 6 that we've got there. The second goal is the same that we've had, enhance crime fighting strategies. The only thing that changed is the objectives down below. And utilize technology for effectiveness and efficiency. Again, those 3 have been our main goals, and through discussion and kind of changes in what's happening in law enforcement, we added an additional goal, and that's officer wellness. And basically, the state has funded an app that goes out to all first responders that you can have on your cell phone for resources, and officer wellness and stress is a critical thing in law enforcement now. And in theory, if you really work that through, if our officers are taking care of themselves and they're not stressed out and they're not tired and they're taking care of themselves, the likelihood of them treating the members of the community and those that they deal with, if they're in a better condition health-wise, mentally and physically, they will be able to do their job better and more effectively. And so there were a couple things where we're now putting a big focus on officer wellness and taking care of our staff even better. I won't say we weren't taking care of them before, but we're really calling it out, identifying it, and making it a priority. So, so that's it for the 2023 leadership retreat overview.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I just had a question. It says obtain an active bystander for law enforcement certification. Can you explain that?
Yes, I could do a great job of explaining it, but Assistant Chief Richards this is her initiative, and she can do an even better job.
Active bystander for law enforcement, it's called ABLE, It's a national certification. Right now, there's under 350 agencies, both in the United States and Canada, that have it. And what it is it's your policies, training, all that wrapped up into a ball that says, we're gonna do the right things at the right times. And if we see one of our fellow officers doing something that we're starting to see through our training, they're starting to go down a path we might not want them to go, we empower our officers, whether you're one day on the street or 20 years on the street, to grab a hold of that other officer and say, hey, I got this. And so some of these situations that have unfortunately resulted in all the media uproar and stuff like that don't happen. And what it's saying is, we're doing the right thing, and there's a lot of it that goes into it. There's community meetings, there's community buy-in. We have to get support letters from the community, from our partners in the fire department and things like that says, hey, these guys are legit, they're moving, they're a good department now, and we're gonna make them even better. And that's the goal.
And if I can add, if I can add just one thing to that, and great job, Patty. There were some really good questions asked at the leadership retreat. Gosh, Chief, if there's only 350 agencies in the United States that have this certification, why are we doing it? What's the big deal? And I'll tell you the big deal. There's only a certain amount of law enforcement agencies in the state of Washington that are accredited. We are accredited, have been accredited, and we're about to be re-accredited. Now, this is a certification where you have to jump through a lot of hoops with training. You have other people that certify that you're doing what you say you're doing. And really why we're doing it, and I don't want anyone to know this, but since I'm retiring soon, it doesn't matter. Every once in a while, I do read some of the comments under Facebook, under what's happening with the police and what's happening in policing in general. And there sometimes are comments like, that's a lot of talk, but where's the action? And really, stuff like this is the action. We're not just saying we do a good job and we're doing the right things, but we're actually walking the talk, and we're doing the hard work. We're getting the certifications. We're doing the extra trainings. We're doing the extra accountability pieces to walk the talk and not just say, hey, we're a great organization. So we're going deeper, and to be one of the leaders in this area is just one more step in being the best we can possibly be. Does that mean one of our officers will never make a mistake? No. But we're setting them up as best we can to be as effective as they can be in serving our community. So I think that part is really important. It's not just checking a box. It's way too much work to just check a box. You actually have to own it, and it's part of the culture. And we have an incredibly good culture now, and this will make it even better. So really an important initiative.
Thank you. Just to follow up, so thank you with that, and I was wondering how that, or if it tied into the reaccreditation, but you've answered my question. You know, and I will just speak from my experience with the organization and watching it forever, when it was like one cop on the street and one fire guy, right? And to where it is today, and everybody that's come through this organization in terms of leadership from within, from outside, has brought, this organization it does have a culture of wanting to be better and wanting to go to the next step. Mm-hmm. And I'm really proud to be associated with the Des Moines Police Department, and when I was working, I worked with a whole lot of police agencies, and they're all very good, and I've said this before and I'll continue to say it, but this organization is one of the best that I have worked with across the state, because of what you do proactively, the thinking and doing with intent, when the intent is a good outcome. So thank you, and I know this is early, but thank you for Ken, for what you have brought to this organization in your 5 years here. It's phenomenal. Everybody's brought something. Everybody brings it to the next step. You've brought it to the next couple of steps. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Oh,
all right. Usually they don't have a hard time hearing me, but. Yeah, Ken, I just wanted to, I echo a lot of what Vic just said. I've worked with a lot of police agencies throughout this state from a very different perspective than Vic. I've spent about 30 years in criminal defense. And so my job is essentially, it was no longer, to pick apart what the police work has done. And I am really impressed with the culture and the attention to culture that is being paid to in the Des Moines Police Department. I think it's very important, and I really like the active bystander that you're going to be putting your officers in a position where they can, if they see a fellow officer, as you say, going down the wrong path on something, they can pull it off and let them take over, and that's okay. Because a lot of police departments don't have that kind of culture. They circle the wagons around each other, and that's not a good thing. Because if somebody gets out of control, you've got to have a way to step in and stop that from happening in order to keep things from escalating from where they are. And I think this is just this is an outstanding step forward. And I'm glad to see you pursuing that, and I'm glad to see Assistant Chief Richardson taking the lead. So that's great. The one thing I kind of noticed is officer wellness doesn't have a verb. All the other goals, build, enhance, utilize, they lead with the verb. Was there a thought behind that, or is there?
I think this was just put together right before we came down, and we talked about that, and I can't remember if it was, I think we used enhance, maybe it was improve or increase officer wellness. I can't remember which word, but it just didn't make it on this form that's coming out.
Those darn lawyers.
Yeah, no, that's
They're always
good.
picking at words.
That's good. No,
But,
I noticed that too, but it was too late as I was.
And I do think it's a very good thing to be focused on officer wellness, not only physically but psychologically, because it will make sure that their interactions with the public are coming from a position that is appropriate rather than not. So.
Yeah, I just, to wrap, thank you for that. And to wrap up my part on this, part of our supervisors retreat, I've been a part of for about the last 15 years of doing these types of presentations for the organizations that I've been a part of. And the reason why I had added to the agenda or asked Deputy Mayor Buxton if I could add this is because this, if you look at the agenda and you look at the areas we covered, this one probably was the best one that I've ever been a part of putting together and being a part of. So I was really extra proud of this one, and I wanted to speak out to you and let you know how that process went and what we covered. I mean, we covered details within the department, and then we did big picture policing and what's going on and leadership and brought in a guy to talk about the news. And so I think it was a really a good, very productive day that we spent.
So just one last follow-up is with the officer wellness. One of the best kept secrets in first responder world is PTSD. And, I have lost friends by suicide from PTSD. And I know that your organization is been working through this and dealing with this and has, the peer support. And if we need to enhance that, if we need to do something as a council, and I won't speak for all of them, I won't speak for any of them, I'll speak for myself. That is so important. And if we need to do something to make this really important and put it on the forefront, and so that our officers, your staff, they deal with that as well. And because of their association with the officers and the things that they have to look at and see. And I'm sure that it goes even deeper, across the city, but relative to first responders, if there's something that we need to do, I would champion that for as long as I'm here, because it is so very important.
So I would say to that, thank you for what you said. I can tell you what this council does to support the officers is so incredibly positive. That is what you can do. Honestly, I think from the council perspective, PTSD, as you know, Vic, is very personal, and the officers don't want to share that. I'm not going to divulge any information, but we very recently nearly lost an officer to suicide at the office. And very, very concerning. But I'll tell you, our police department is incredibly supported by our city administration, by our city council. Scott Oak, if you know Sergeant Scott Oak, he is kind of the leader. Patty also is a leader in working closely with the officers. They don't always want to come tell the chief they're having a tough time, but Scott Oak really leads our peer support team. He leads a lot of our initiatives, and we have a pretty large peer support team. We just had another training event. We've had a couple here just in the last 6 months. So to your point, we are paying close attention to it, and we could not do that if we didn't have the support of our city administration and certainly our city council. So thank you for that. And if we do need something, or if we can think of something, we definitely will come back and ask. But honestly, you guys are doing such a very good job, and I can tell you the officers feel very supported.
Thank you.
Well, ditto to what my colleagues have said. Super supportive, and I echo Councilmember Pennington, and I thank you for this, because it not only creates strength in the team that we have, but it creates desirability for it. It's easier and easier to fill positions. People look at, say, that's the team I want to be on. So that makes it easier all around to get quality candidates. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to the next thing. Thank you, Chief, for that report. I think next is emergency management, King County.
Yeah, so I am here to talk to you about IEMC, the Integrated Emergency Management course. Every year, EMI, Emergency Management Institute over in Emmitsburg, give different jurisdictions around the country the opportunity to apply for an IEMC. And King County has applied as an organization to have for an IEMC for the entire area. And Vic probably remembers, but years ago, the city participated with the City of Federal Way, and a group of about 45 people went back to Emmitsburg to participate in Federal Way's IEMC. This one's a little bit different. Instead of everybody going to Emmitsburg staff would be coming to King County. So how that would differ from what happened prior is this opens it up to all of the jurisdictions in King County to play. So it's a 4-day exercise-based training that is an active, engaged training for all of the emergency operation centers that want to play. So we're not putting trucks on the streets or fire trucks or being dispatched or anything like that. It's all scenario based, and it's opening up your EOC and allowing your team members that are assigned to your EOC to actively engage in the positions that they're assigned to be during an emergency, so that they can build that muscle memory and learn what they're supposed to do in times of an emergency. So it's practice, simulation, it's realistic, it's crisis situations. They throw curveballs at you, make you spin 180s, and make you think really hard. The design, it reflects the jurisdiction's specific hazards, and you get to also pick the core capabilities that you want to focus on. So if King County is selected through the application process, then we have a team, and I volunteered to be on the team building the actual exercise for our county. So we would be able to work with EMI to build the entire program, and then if we get selected, it'll either be in 2024 or 2025. We're hoping 2024. And we have picked a severe weather. We all feel that we have earthquaked enough. It's time to practice something new. And we do such a great job with Cascadia Rising every 4 years. We figured it was time to test something else. And a lot of the jurisdictions, us included, are working on debris removal plans. So in times of a severe storm, we know the easiest, quickest, and best way to get debris off the streets and get our roads opened up and start rebuilding. So it would give us a good opportunity to practice some of those plans, but also, you know, operational coordination, operational communication, mass care services, logistics and supply chain management, and definitely critical transportation. So getting those roadways open across jurisdictional lines. And then the folks that would attend would be, you know, the senior leadership here at the city. It would be all of our individuals that are primary in each position at the EOC, as well as their secondary. So we're not just training those that would respond, but the backup, and hopefully the backup to the backup, so that we are as deep as we can possibly be in times of an emergency, because we know that people go on vacation. Some people live clear out in Bonnie Lake and maybe wouldn't be able to get here. You know, things change, people move around, so you never know who's going to be available to come in and work the EOC. So making sure everybody is trained, and then leaders in the community, representation from possibly the food bank, any NGOs, Red Cross, just as many people that we can get involved as we possibly can. So we need to make sure that we're picking a very strategic date where most people are available. So hoping to stay away from summertime and vacation time periods. So hopefully somewhere in the spring, early summer. And in order for us as a city to get ready for the possibility of having this huge exercise come to King County, we have an EOC training that we are going to be doing here May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's 3 full days, and it is intermediate emergency operations center functions. So now that our comprehensive emergency management plan has been written, implemented, everybody has a copy, and they know what their departments are supposed to do, now is the time to train the individuals in their specific seat and what they do in the EOC. So we have a training where we are working, the city of Burien is also going to participate, so we're sharing in the costs to have a trainer come in and help us build our EOC and decide who's sitting where, who's doing what, and get everybody up and running in their individual seats, start them, take their training so that they can get credentialed appropriately for their individual spots in the EOC. And then come fall, we'll have our trainer come back and work individually one-on-one with each position, so they really get some in-depth position-specific one-on-one training. So hopefully our application will be accepted, and we'll be working towards a huge exercise.
Amazing.
And I'll make sure you get them.
Go ahead.
I'm sitting here smiling as I look at Chief Richards. I couldn't be more proud of where the city has come in terms of emergency management. It literally went from everybody kind of do their own thing, and or we don't want to participate, to her and I for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours trying to herd cats to so that our citizens would be safe. And the response was, well, you guys will come in and take care of it. Well, you're right, but it is so cool, and it's what's really cool is the culture has shifted in this city to incorporate emergency management into your daily operations. So thank you to everybody, to you, the city manager, everybody who made that possible. So thank you, and I'm beyond proud.
Amazing. Any questions, Harry? Okay. And this is an incredible opportunity. So touche, Shannon, for being part of this planning and this. So just out of curiosity, a series of questions. So if if King County is awarded this, when would this big event take place? You said 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
So, who would be funding it? Let's say King County was awarded. How many participants, and then would King County pay for that, or would each participating jurisdiction have to pay for their participation in the?
It would happen during the normal workday, so it would be during the course for a normal day. So there shouldn't be any added expense on the city at all to participate, but all costs for the exercise design team to work on the program and fly out and accommodation, it's all covered by Emmitsburg. There's no cost to any cities. Just like when we go to Emmitsburg for training, it's all covered through grants, through FEMA. So there is no cost to any city, and it will be opened up to every partner in the county to participate. So any city that wants to participate will be able to, water districts, sewer districts, fire teams, all of them. Anybody that wants to open up their EOC and participate in this will be able to.
So they'll just send a team that will end up having the capacity for whoever is responsive. Like, so there'll be a timeline for people to respond to say, we want to play, whether it's 6 EOCs or 20.
Yep.
And then they'll send an accommodate. So you aren't going to need a venue, like in an event venue. They're all going to be staffing small teams in each EOC, wherever each jurisdiction's EOC is.
Yep, we'll be in our
Okay.
EOC up at the fire department. All the other cities will set up their EOC, and then it'll probably, now that we're all so versed in doing things virtually, I'm sure that there will be some virtual component where we'll be able to see the county, and they'll be able to interact with us as well. And then we have our web EOC where we will go in and do updates and snapshots and logistics requests and things of that nature.
Will there be a specific certification that each of these teams receive after completing this event?
There usually is, yeah. So once you've completed the exercise, everything that you ever do with Emmitsburg, everybody gets. And there's usually logo wear that goes along with the activity, and you can buy a shirt or a sweatshirt.
You get the T-shirt and a certificate.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, and a
And a
water
keychain.
bottle. Yeah.
Seriously, on to answer your question is this depth and this level of training is really intense, and you walk away with a tremendous amount of knowledge. You walk away with certain certs from Emmitsburg that are important. It's important to continue to keep that up. The trip was in August of 2017 that Shannon was referring to, and I was the lead for both cities and here, but had a little medical event, so the incident commander was replaced by the backup, but that's a part of it, and you went back there, and quite honestly, had the city not participated, had the city of Des Moines not participated with that, your outcomes relative to COVID would have been much different for this city, much different for this city. Not only in the financial piece, the supplies, the connections that are made on the national level, on the county level. Shannon was up at the EOC every day, along with some of my staff and myself, and working through, and those connections brought things to this city that it would have been difficult to get those through any other means, almost impossible for some. And so that's the value. The value are the resources that you have access to, the relationships that are built, and that's what brings to our city and to our citizens. That's what pays the dividends. And this isn't, great, cool stuff. I mean, this is, in the trenches things, but the value that our citizens get through our staff and being a part of that, it gets paid, paid back tenfold. And so that's why this is so important. And to have, this type of a activation and this type of a exercise on a county level is really important as well, because you'll get, the county has a really good idea of who has what resources, but to actually have to, now you're going to end up interfacing with those other organizations and learning firsthand what resources are available and who to call, from your OC to their EOC, or your DOC to their DOC. So either way, but this is an important thing. So I really hope that we are successful with that. I think that we will as a county. Yeah, certainly that's hard for FEMA to pass that up. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, so and then as a good segue to the last question, do you know how much competition there is for acceptance?
I don't. I know it varies every year, and post-COVID, because they haven't been able to do any of these for 3 years, I'm sure there's going to be a pretty heavy onslaught of applications.
Are they going to do just one county? It seems like they would do several.
No, they do several, and they bring teams back. It's just sitting down and looking at their bandwidth and figuring out how much that they can take on, and picking who puts in the best application. Lots of cities, tons of jurisdictions, partners sent letters in to go with the application. Michael signed a letter for us so that we could get ours in. Our sewer district sent in a letter, water district sent in a letter. I know Federal Way sent in a letter. So we really put in a pretty hefty application. So I'm hopeful that we will get it. It might not be 2024, but 2025. So it's 2 years. So I think we have a pretty good chance.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. The leadership and everything, getting us that far. Fantastic. Well, looks like we're coming up on the end of the meeting. Chief, did you want to make a comment about? Okay. And any other questions before we close? All right, well, thanks. Thank you all for being here, and great meeting. Thank you for your work, you guys.